because Hinata's relentlessly positive and also just the biggest, just gold of heart, dumb of ass. He is so fucking dumb. His only brain cell is a volleyball, and he shares it with Kageyama, and all they do is volley it back and forth. Like, they're so stupid, and I love them so much.
Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Leyla.
And this week we watched the first season of Production IG's 2014 anime Haikyuu. We'll talk about the world's best boys, the drama of high school sports, and learning volleyball through cartoons. Remember, you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and signing up for our newsletter, or following us on Twitter at MortifiedPod. Leyla, can you tell me how you discovered this delightful show?
So I've been aware of Haikyuu for a really long time, and I just haven't watched it because, I don't know if I've said this on the show before, but I am always extremely wary of anything that is too popular on Tumblr. It's just a personal rule of mine to not do that. So I remember this came out at the height of sports anime, so it was like Free, then Haikyuu, then a little bit more recently Yuri on Ice were the three like big sports shows. And as somebody who like loved Prince of Tennis when I was younger, I just didn't want that like ruined for me. So I was like, no, I can't. I have to come to these on my own volition. And then I watched one season of Free, I think. Clearly it was very memorable. Yuri on Ice is God's perfect show, and I cherish it and own it on Blu-ray. And then only recently was I just like looking for something to watch in the background as I worked, and I saw Haikyuu was dubbed on Netflix, and it just so happened that somebody whose taste I trust was like, I love this shit, and was like talking about it on Twitter. So I was finally like, okay. And then I couldn't look away. It was so good.
Haikyuu was delightful. I'll give a brief summary of the first season because that's what I watched this week. It follows the story of two freshmen in high school. They have first names, but I'm just going to call them Hinata and Kageyama. So basically, Hinata is this short, redheaded kid who, like, his whole middle school career, he wanted to play volleyball, but, like, everybody at his middle school was like, no, we don't really want to play volleyball. So he would practice with the girls' team. And, like, the last, like, game of, or his only game in middle school, he was able to, like, scrape together 6 people to play this volleyball game. And he played against this other middle school, and they had this very, very good player, this big guy who everybody called the King of the Court. And, this King of the Court guy just, like, decimated him, but, like, Hinata, like, tried really, really hard to beat him, and, like, he obviously lost, but, like, Hinata made this vow, and he's like, next time I play you, I'm gonna defeat you. And then the King of the Court was like, ha ha ha, whatever. And then they both go off to high school, and as fate would have it, they're both going to the same high school. And then, like, Hinata's like, wait, no, you're not supposed to be on my team. And this King of the Court, whose name is Kageyama, he is at first frustrated with the fact that this little idiot that he barely remembers, is going to be on his team. But as they meet their upperclassmen, they sort of realize, like, oh, hey, volleyball is a team sport. We have to start working together. And it follows the progression of, like, the first half of their volleyball season. It introduces you to, a bunch of new, the first year characters, all the upperclassmen. And, like, it shows you their various, like, specialties, and it does a very good job of breaking down, like, volleyball as far as, like, how the game actually works, which was incredibly interesting. And then, it follows to the very end of, like, this big tournament in the middle of the year, where spoilers from here on out, they had played this one team, Alba Josei or Seijo. And they were really close to they beat them in a practice game, but that was because they didn't have their famous setter who is like who used to be on Kageyama's team, and yeah, then they played him this time, and like they get really really close, but at the very end they were not able to pull it out. And I loved that ending. I was like, oh yes, this is exactly how a sports anime should go. I don't think I've ever watched a sports anime, much to my shame, but like. I feel like that would be a problem, at least with a lot of sports media, like all sports movies. Like, Remember the Titans is the thing that I came to first, which was like, that movie is basically just like, well, they have a tough training camp, and then they wipe the floor with every team they play. It's like, there's like a little, there's a montage in that movie where it just like shows the points. It's like 23-0, 24-0, 30-0. Like, they never lose a game the whole season. And it's like, I feel like that sort of ruins the tension. But like in a TV show like this, you can have them lose multiple games and it not be a big deal. And I loved that. I loved how this show not only has like some of the most wholesome characters in anime, but also like just the way that they developed the side characters. Because like with many shows like this, there's a dozen different characters, and you worry that they're gonna get washed away by the protagonist's main story. But they really didn't do that. Even with some people who like I literally do not know their names, but by the end of like the season, like they still got like a couple shining moments that I really enjoyed. I think it was a very delightful show. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch the other couple seasons just because of life, but I would definitely like to, because it was a very fun show, and I'm glad you recommended it.
I mean, if anything, please watch season 2, because season 2 fucks so hard. It is just they get to replay Aoba Josai, and it's just so satisfying. Good. Oh my god, yeah. And I mean, like, real quick, Layla's Craft corner of crap. Like, the reason I noticed this like halfway through season 2, and by the way, after re-listening to the Abzu episode last week, I was like, wow, that was like a really like a middle school level dissertation on craft I get, because I never want to get too excited about it and too technical. So my bad, guys, but this is going to be about the same elementary school level breakdown right now, because it's not that complicated. I noticed this about halfway through like season 2, maybe 3. Every player that they want you to remember from another team has wild ass hair.
That's so like, true. Oh my god.
It's like not quite Yu-Gi-Oh level, but it's just like, so, I have the characters pulled up right now. And so one of the first like characters that you meet, who, chef's kiss, I love Kenma, is Kenma Kozume. Mm-hmm. Kenma is an angel. And Kenma, one of the things I really love about this show and Hinata is that Hinata is so relentlessly positive all the time that even people who are set up to hate him end up just like loving him. There's like moments where Kenma's teammates are like, did he make a friend? We're confused because Hinata's just here and he seems to be around him, but with Kenma we can't tell. Anyway, but Kenma's hair is bleached. Oikawa has the duck butt thing happening. There's another player that comes in season 2, Kyotani. He's bleach blonde. There's I'm scrolling through Kanji from Date Tech has this like triple pronged black tuft in the front of his head. And then Aone, who is the player you're supposed to remember from Date Tech, is super tall and has like bleach white hair. And so it just does this like really simple flagging of like, hey, you should remember this team's dynamic and you need to remember these 2 people and you're good. And it's great. And I don't know, it's just such a fun mechanic, because that's one of the things I'm always afraid with ensemble shows. Like you said, like, are they going to get lost in the sauce?
I don't know if that's the actual name of the guy, but there is one character that's just like Tanaka, except his hair is like slightly different. I just love that dude, because I was like, this is the same. You guys are brothers. I love them.
They're so fucking funny. Oh my god. Honestly, chef's kiss also to Tanaka.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the characters. I mean, you were recommending this primarily to me based on the fact that Hinata is just like the best, most wholesome person ever. Yes. And in my notes, my initial thought was like, okay, he is Izuku Midoriya from My Hero Academia, except just like without superpowers, because like they're both this very the style of hero that's like really nice and positive and friendly, and also is just like has one super ability that everyone's like, oh shit, that's what makes them special. Very shonen protagonist, but also like I love how relentlessly positive Hinata is, and the dynamic they set up between him and Kageyama is so good, because like you're like, oh, okay, they're gonna be rivals. Like it's a shonen anime. I love a good rivals to lovers trope. And like I feel like they don't do it as much as like some other shows where, to reference My Hero Academia again, right? There's Bakugo, who's the partner to Midoriya, and like Bakugo's a huge asshole, but like you can tell like they're setting up this like, oh, I hate you, but we're gonna have a big final fight at the end. And I don't think that's probably going to happen between Hinata and Kageyama, because they are on a team, and it's that team dynamic that makes them like work together so much more, and become like actually like kind of friends. Like Kageyama is still an asshole to Hinata and like yells at him, especially like when Hinata fucks up a like a serve and like hits him in the back of the head, and Kageyama like just almost murders him. But there's a very good dynamic between them where it's like Kageyama has realized like in his past like he's been kind of shitty, and like he wants to be better, and like his whole character arc is like learning to get past that and learning to be like a team player, whereas Hinata's just like completely like in love with volleyball, and like also like seeing Kageyama as like an equally good player, and like trying to get as good as him and defeat him fair and square. And I really liked that. I really liked how like very few times in this first season was there like any character that was like, oh, that person sucks and I hate them. It was mostly like, oh, this guy's giving me a bad vibe. But then it's like, oh, actually, it's been turned around either because of Hinata's relentless positivity, or just for the fact that like, no, they're just like, like very intense and in the game. Like at the Date Tech game, there's that huge dude with the white hair that kept blocking Hinata. At the very end, when they finally beat Date Tech, he just like sticks his hand out and he's just like, good luck. He's like very friendly about it, and I love that. I love when people are nice.
I know. Oh, I mean, I would argue that Midoriya has like 2 more brain cells than Hinata does, because Hinata's relentlessly positive and also just the biggest, just gold of heart, dumb of ass. He is stupid. So fucking dumb. His only brain cell is a volleyball, and he shares it with Kageyama, and all they do is volley it back and forth. Like, they're so stupid, and I love them so much. But you're right, like, he's so just, like, relentlessly positive, and so, it's funny, in the later seasons, he gets, like, really into the game, and Kageyama just keeps looking at him and going, okay, well, he's really in it, I don't know what to think anymore. And their dynamic evolves, and it's so good, and my boys! I would like to talk about Nishinoya and, Tanaka.
Oh, yeah.
Because hold on, before I get into Nishinoya and Tanaka, nope, pause. We have to talk about Kageyama for one more second, because one, he's my favorite, and two, in the second season, and I'm trying to entice you just to watch season 2, like 3 or 4, I obviously want you to watch it, but like you're going into grad school. But season 2, Kageyama starts trying to be nicer, and every cell in his body fights him about it. So there's a moment where he learns to high five, and it's everything to me. And my Facebook cover photo right now is the boys find out that there's going to be a barbecue at their training camp, and they just 4 of them start doing a meat dance, and it's just Kageyama off to the side, like vaguely swaying along with them. Angel.
Yes, I see. I'm looking at it now. It's very good.
It's so excellent. But yeah, I want to talk about Nishinoya and Tanaka because I love them so fucking much. They're so... Nishinoya is, oh my god, what is it called?
The libero, right?
The libero,
yeah. Yeah.
He's a defensive player. He's the only one that gets a cool, fun jersey. That's a different color, and he just, like, dives for the ball all the time. And, Tanaka's a spiker. He's a wing spiker, I think. And, it's been a couple of weeks since I watched this, so I'm a little rusty. But I was so nervous about them for, like, a second because they're both incredibly aggressive. But, like, they're aggressive in the way big dogs are aggressive, and when they want to love you aggressively. And their relationship to the team manager, Kyoko, made me nervous because they kept, like, talking about how beautiful she was. But they're so fucking funny. because Kyoko will just dead ass ignore them and they will burst into tears just saying, it's the best when she ignores us. And it makes me laugh every time. Tanaka will just like take his shirt off and it makes me laugh every time. You were talking about that other guy who had a shaved head. They will like face off and it makes me laugh every single time. Tanaka's comedic fucking gold and Noya is always next to him and always making it worse. Honest to God, chef's kiss. Love my boys. I love them. They're the best. They're angels.
They fall into that like lovable hothead category, similar to a Kuwabara, where it's just like very stupid and always trying to fight, but also like very nice. And I do think the way that they handled Kyoko was pretty good. I mean, like they do fall into the category like, oh, it's a hot girl, we all love her, but like Kyoko's also like does not interact with them at all, and they're just like awesome, great.
Have you met Yachi yet?
No.
Okay, so Yachi's gonna be Kyoko's trainee, and Yachi's a fucking delight. Yeah, no, I honestly just blew my fucking brain wide open with the Kuwabara thing, because I love Kuwabara.
yeah, you have a type.
Oh, they're so... I just love like a literally gold of heart, dumb of ass, and it makes me... It just chuffs me. I love all these boys. Honestly, it's just, if I could gather them all in my arms and protect them forever, I would. It's just, this anime made me feel so good for, like, a blip in this quarantine. It's the best. I've been trying to get, like, you and my neighbor to watch it. My neighbor's like, I'm glad you got him to watch it.
Because I don't give a shit about volleyball.
That's true. But speaking of volleyball, do you have any other characters you want to talk about, or do we want to talk about how we're expert referees now?
I just loved the various teams' dynamics. Like they, we'll talk in a little bit about how high schools. This is a very similar like high school sports thing, but like this all read very realistically to me. How like each team has their own different like weird things. Like a Date Tech's whole like cheering section is like we're the Iron Wall, and they're like they have all their weird things. And then, like, they have, like, weird lore based on, like, the Cats and the Crows trash can game. And, like, it's pretty good. And then every volleyball team, one, has different nicknames for all of their players. Everybody's like, oh, okay, there's the King of the Court, and then there's the Great King, and then there's the Iron Wall, and then there's the shorty, number 10, the, what's his name? What was the guy that what's his name wants to be like? The tiny giant. Yes, like everyone has these like weird names, and I wish that there was more of that in the world. And also, just like every single team has a player that's just a wild man that needs to be held back by everyone else.
Yeah, and Hinata is it.
Well, their school has several. I was thinking of Tanaka, but
that's true.
But also. It's
yeah, and the
good.
funny thing, the funny thing about the Great King too is that like nobody calls Oikawa the Great King. Hinata calls Oikawa the Great King, and the only reason he calls him the Great King is because he was Kageyama's mentor, and Kageyama is the king of the court. And it's not like a nice nickname. That's not a point of pride. It means he's solitary and a bad team player.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he was. The glow up. And he calls Oikawa the Great King because he's his mentor, and the funny thing is that nobody stops him, but nobody picks it up either.
And everybody's just like, what are you talking about? But Hinata's just going off again. Just let him go. Let him go.
She's like, it's the Great King, Kageyama, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna beat him? What are you gonna do? We're gonna take him down, we're gonna go. It's like, baby,
hey, bro.
None of them have any chill, and I love them. The only one who has any chill is Sugawara, and it took me like 2 seasons to figure out what his whole deal was. And now
I loved him because like he only has like one thing in season 1, which is where he is swapped out in that Alba Josei game, I believe, for Kageyama, and like he sort of like the team is like getting smashed in this second set, and Sugawara sort of pulls them together because he's an upperclassman and sort of like knows everybody's like, you know, state of mind, and like he's able to like reform their team when they're getting routed. And I really liked that. There's a lot of like friendly upperclassmen vibes that I really loved about that.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is like sometimes the trope of like shonen anime going back all the way to like Dragon Ball Z, which I guess isn't that far back, but it's far back enough, is, when to face an obstacle, your main character just has to become more powerful.
Yeah. They just unlock their second level, their final form, yeah.
Yeah, you got your Super Saiyan, your Super Saiyan X,
your Super Saiyan 2, your Super Saiyan 3.
Yeah, you go all the way up to level 9,000. It's a whole... I know that's the wrong reference, but, like, you feel me. But, like, the thing I really loved about this was sometimes that's not the way to go. Because they don't have superpowers, and it would be stupid if they did.
Okay, they kind of have superpowers. I've seen some
yeah.
volleyball games. There's no way that they have, like, whole-ass conversations between the various, like,
That's
ball
true.
going up and down.
they move quite quickly. But I mean, like, in the space of, like, this show, they don't really have, like, quote-unquote superpowers. They're just really good at certain things. And sometimes the ticket is to swap someone out and let some underdog. One of the short one with the greenish hair that comes in a pair with the tall blonde asshole. I'm blanking on the name because he doesn't really stand out till like season 2. What is your name? Tadashi. So Tadashi learns how to serve in season 2, and they like swap him out for Kageyama and for Asahia a couple of times. And or I think it's for Kageyama and Asahia, I could be wrong. But it's just, one, such growth. 2, like, I'm so glad they waited till season 2 to introduce him and to like flesh out some more of the other teammates. But like, sometimes it's not a harder serve, it's a different serve. And they like teach you the difference between a float serve and a standard serve, and it's just, I don't know. It's just so good. I love the way the games were set up. I was so worried it was going to be like Yu Yu Hakusho where it just gets really repetitive. It's never repetitive.
Yeah, and I think they build that explanation, like they kind of assume that you don't know that much about volleyball. So like during every game, there'll be like 2 people like having a conversation in the bleachers, and like sometimes it's, the coaches talking to their assistants, but other times it'll just like 2 random dudes that are watching the show, and then they're like, hey, okay, so this is what this is going, or like there's that one at the end of season 1 where it's like I think they're part of the older, like there's that,
yeah, they're the alumni
team, yeah, that are just like having this conversation, and then like there's 2 younger women who are like, oh, what's going on here, and they're like, oh, hey, young lady, let me explain this to you, and they're like, oh, thanks, random old dude. It's like, yes, that's how that should happen. Just completely shut them down.
Yeah, and they won't just explain what's happening, but they'll explain why they can't take a certain move too. So they'll be like, okay, well, why can't we put Kageyama here, and why can't he Seto dump or something? And they'll be like, well, we can't do that because their defense plays like this. And it's a very like, it's never like, here's what a spike is. It's like, here in this situation with these 2 teams, here's why this is going to happen and why this can happen. And they like cushion it in character moments, and it's very good. And there's a moment in season 2, at the end of season 2, when they replay Aoba Josai, there's this moment where all of this explanation, and if you pay attention, like all of this build up and all of this like teaching the viewer about volleyball pays off, because there's a finishing move that gives them, I think, either the set or the game, and it's not narrated, so you just have this moment of like, I started yelling. It was like I felt like I was at a sports game for the first time in my life, caring about the sport, because I saw it happen, and I was like, ah! And then like 30 seconds later, they were like, he did it! And I'm like, trying not to spoil it, but it's, oh my god, it was so exciting. It was so good. It was such a good build-up. It made me so excited. It's just it's honestly a storytelling masterclass in like a way I did not expect.
I mean, yeah, it's a very good show, and it does a lot through telling, but also it can show very effectively when it wants to. I mean, like, did you want to talk about Kageyama's like character arc as far as being an asshole genius?
I mean, I don't know if I have that much to say about it. I'm just really excited that this show like rejects that premise. Like, Kageyama has the opportunity to continue to be the way he is and be rewarded for it, and then be rivals with Hinata in the sense that they would butt heads all the time, and not be friends. But instead, he and Hinata like mold each other.
Yeah.
And they, like I said, he learns how to high five. And it's good.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely could have gone the route where, like, especially in high school sports for some reason, there's a lot of emphasis on, like, oh, you gotta train really hard, and, like, you gotta be mean in order to get good, and, like, I'm so glad they didn't go that route, and they talked about how, like, yeah, if you're the kind of person who is, like, yelling at your teammates, like, you're gonna, like, not have any friends. And there's plenty of conversations to be had about that in real sports, but I'm glad that they didn't go this route, because that would be an uninteresting conversation, and it would make it a less fun show to watch.
I was just gonna say, it also helps that one of their coaches are kind of like that too. They have one coach that he's real confused, but he's got the spirit, so
yeah.
He doesn't know much about volleyball, but as soon as he sees that these kids have potential, he's like, I know who does know about volleyball. Mm-hmm. And he brings in Coach Yukai, who, even though he's like famed for, his grandfather's famous for being this like really tough coach, and like people quit under him and blah 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 blah, he's just like a chill. His hair is bleached. You can tell he went through a little bit of a punk phase. He's smoking all the time. He runs a convenience store, and he comes in and he's like tough, but he's not awful. And so I think him and then the upperclassmen being these like really even-headed, really kind of chill dudes that are just kind of, they were there to have a good time, but now that they see that this volleyball team could actually go somewhere, they all start working really hard. It's just nice. It sets up a nice atmosphere for these really boisterous freshmen to like even out.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the way that they treat the freshmen versus the upperclassmen, I really liked how the show shows that dynamic, because, like, I was constantly thinking back to my time in high school cross country when I was watching this show. I ran cross and track all 4 years of my time in high school, and like there was track was bad, and we don't have to talk about track, but cross country, it was a much more interesting like dynamic between the upperclassmen and the underclassmen. Like, I remember coming in as like as a freshman and being just like a huge pain in the ass to everyone, and like, but also like, there were upperclassmen who were nice to me, and they sort of helped me understand how the sport worked, and like cross country is in no way a team sport, but like there was something about watching the show where it had like upperclassmen like trying to help younger people, like show them the ropes, that I really loved. Like that is what I strive to do as I got older in cross country, and like tried to foster a culture of like, hey, we're helping the younger kids, and we're trying to be nice to them, and like, hey, here's the thing about our coach is that he's a huge dick, and these are the things that you just have to get through. But like yeah, I really resonated with that. Like, there's all sorts of stuff, like the various cheers, like in cross country, like every school had their own weird cheer, and just like different traditions, and it just made me kind of nostalgic for high school cross country, because I really did like my time that I spent there. I don't know, just takes me back. Did you ever do anything resembling a sport that you cared about?
I did. I played field hockey in middle school for a while. Oh. Yeah. By a while, I do mean 1 year.
Okay.
And then I started having, my family just like didn't have the money. And also my back started being weird around that time. So I didn't continue with it, and everything else that I wanted to do, not to be like emo on main here, but when you don't have money and also you're like a chunkier kid, you're kind of automatically discouraged from doing sports. So I really leaned into like the nerd that doesn't kind of trope, Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of high school pretty much just doing the like, I'm not like other girls gambit. That was very me. I leaned into that a lot, and then I went through like annoying atheist, and then I've kind of landed to be the person who I am today, which is like mostly a woman and very queer and whatever. But like, what's funny is like now in my adult life, I've gotten into working out a lot more. I actually just bought a yoga mat that I'm very excited about. It has a snake skeleton on it. Looks dope as shit. I've been doing yoga for a couple of years. I also just bought new running shoes because I wore a hole through my old ones. So as soon as the heat kind of subsides, I'll go back to running. And I do a lot more of that. But it's funny because after I watched Haikyuu, I immediately like craved doing a team sport. I was like, oh, this is what it was supposed to be like. Like, this is the experience I missed out on. And it made me miss the camaraderie of working on a team for like a project too. Like, it made me miss my Undone crew, and it made me realize that I need a rival.
There we go.
Because I've been like very stagnant in my personal work the last couple of years, and I've been like I keep trying like new things and throwing spaghetti at the wall, and then I'm like, oh no, I need a rival. I need somebody to push me in like a friendly way, to like push me to be better. And I've actually since joined this like plein air group, plein air being just like painting scenery. And I've been at it for like 3 weeks, and God, I hope they're not listening to this. If you guys are listening to this, I mean this in the friendliest way possible. But I feel like seeing people around me being better than me is pushing me to work harder at art. And so it's like that feeling that I wanted, that this sports anime reminded me that I crave. That was a really long-winded answer to a very simple question. I'm very sorry.
No, I think that brings up a good point, because like I found that helped too. Like, I, to this day, after I stopped going like in cross country and track, I like haven't run in nearly as much in the past. Like, I mean, I've tried, I just can't anymore. My legs are like broken from that, so I can't really run as much anymore. But like there when I was in cross country and in high school in general, I found that like I always did better when I like looked at one or a group of people and I was like, I want to be like these people, and I want to like push myself to be as good or better than them. Like, in cross country, it's a very literal, just like a straight line, because when you begin your run as a team, let's say you're running for 5 miles or whatever, like I started up like being the slowest kid, and just like, you know, over 4 years I began to like work my way up through various groups of different speeds of people, until finally I got, on my senior year, I started running with like the varsity group, which were all like my senior like friends who were just like faster than me throughout the past couple of years. But like there were definitely times where like on the JV team, like we would like race each other. I really liked that idea of like trying to compete against the people that are like right next to you. And that's a much more direct analog than in like volleyball, but like you could literally race against your friends who have been like pushing against you the whole time. I have a lot of good memories of like running with those guys, and it just makes me nostalgic for like that kind of focus, where it's like, hey, I have a community that I know likes me and supports me, and you know, wants me to get better, but also is pushing against me. Like I had people even in college, I would always identify like, oh, these people are smart, I want to be as good or better than them, and I would like work with them and ask them how they did it in order to become like as good as them. And that's one of the things about this pandemic that is such a huge bummer, is that like you can't do anything in groups anymore. And like I was really hoping in graduate school that I could like find a group of people that be like, hey, these people are going to make me better. And when you have to do that online, it's much more difficult. So I hope that I can continue to do that. But Haikyuu just reminded me of like how nice it is to have like a group of people that are rooting for you, but also pushing you to be your best.
Yeah, and I hope you find that too, because, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? And I'm so glad for this, like, plein air group that I joined, because, like, genuinely, it's one of the things I look forward to every day now, where I'm like, okay, at 11:30, I have to go paint with these people. And now that we're more comfortable, we've been just, like, chatting while we paint, and it's nice, and we share resources, and it's so good. And I think it's so opposite of what I guess some of my like art school professors made the art experience sound like, because it sounds like it's just like cutthroat and you're supposed to like hoard resources and be really, you know, closed off to people. But I've found like a really great community of people that are just so open, and so like willing to help solve problems. And it's just really nice. And I do miss that. I miss the working on a team. And if I go back to work on production stuff, the rumor is that it'll be all work from home, which is great. But like when we used to sit we were the only team that had our own office, and everyone else was in the bullpen, which is like great, but that's a lot of people, and a lot of them were really quiet. Our team was like just chatty enough, and we used to bring like fresh fruit in for each other all the time, so there would be just like fresh strawberries in the office all the time, and we could just like look at each other and be like, how did you do that? Or, hey, I learned this new thing. Or like, hey, did you see what you could do with the warp grid? Or I really miss that. I think not having that camaraderie has really like, I don't know. I'm one of those people that I'm okay being on my own for the most part. I don't really need a lot of like group interaction, but I do miss having at least a couple hours a day where I could like commiserate with somebody else or share something and push like the craft forward in some way or another. So yeah, I agree. I think Haikyuu's made me miss that a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to talk about Haikyuu as much. I mean, I probably will try to get into season 2. I mean, should we talk about the thing about the time that we robbed the Vatican, or should we wait until next episode to...
Are we allowed to?
I was not told... I wasn't told anything, Leyla. I wasn't told that we might be able to just like dump the whole text of that onto the internet, as far as I know. I'm not going to.
No, God, no.
I'm not going to. No, I follow some other book bloggers and stuff, and they say that like they're talking about it, not like spoilers obviously, but like they're saying like, oh, I have this thing.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, let's talk about how you robbed the Vatican.
So about a month ago, our favorite, maybe not your favorite, but definitely my favorite author,
no, for one of my favorites for sure,
Rebecca Kwong, who you've referenced countless times in this podcast, tweeted out, hey, if you want an ARC, which means advanced reader copy of The Burning God, which is the third book in her Poppy War trilogy, she said, email my publicist. So I did, and I was like, hey, me and Leyla have this show. We have like collectively 3,000, social media followers. Do you want to, I don't know, pass us something and we'll talk about The Burning God on our podcast? And a week later, not even a week, like a couple days later, she was like, yeah, we're not really giving out advanced reader copies. It's going to be a big book. And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. No worries. And then this week I get an email from the same woman, and she says, I'd be happy to give you the NetGalley. Just pass on whatever reviews and stuff you have to me. But I looked, and I did some internet apps, and apparently this publicist, Rebecca Kwong's publicist, emailed us back, like, hey, here's The Burning God. I don't know how we did this. This seems wrong, but somehow we finagled both of us to get copies, digital copies of The Burning God for, the next 50 or so days. So I'm about halfway through it. It's extremely good, and also just like the most savage shit you could ever imagine. So the next couple the next episode will be about another incredibly brutal book, The Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty, who is another one of our favorite authors. So we're going to talk about that, but the episode after that will be like sort of a feelings cast, and just like talking about how we felt about The Burning God. It won't be any spoilers because I don't think we should do that, but and then in November, once that book actually becomes available to the public, we'll talk about The Burning God. But like I'm just very, very grateful to the publicist. She didn't have to do that, and I appreciate it. We'll take this responsibility very seriously, and try to promote this book. I mean, I love Rebecca Kwong. I want to be Rebecca Kwong. If she's the kind of person I would wish would be my rival if she knew I existed. So like I'm a huge fan of her and her work, and like it is such an honor to have been given this advanced reader copy. So we're gonna, of course, get on the train to help promote the Burning God. I don't know if there's a chance that I might have a small opportunity to like speak with Rebecca about the book. I don't know the details of that yet. It might just end up being a Twitter chat, but it'll still be kind of a really cool opportunity. So that's what we're hoping for in the next couple of weeks. It is astonishing, and me and Leyla were freaking out about it earlier this week, and I was just like, I feel like we robbed the Vatican, because it seems like a crime, but we didn't do anything wrong. So
it's terribly exciting. We've mentioned the Poppy War multiple times. We love Poppy War. We love Dragon Republic. I am so excited for Burning God. It's going to be the most savage shit in the world. Aaron keeps just like alluding to how savage it is, but I'm working through The Empire of Gold, a slightly less savage but no less good book that is currently I just love books about characters making bad decisions, and that's all this is.
Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of that in the next 2 weeks. So
bad decisions left and right. So it might be a shorter. The Feelings cast might be just like a bonus mini episode.
Yeah, it'll be short, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Because that was the bargain that we struck, is we must review the book to have the book, and we have the books now.
So we will review it, and it'll be it's good. This podcast has been worth it.
Yeah, guys. Now, oh my god, it's so exciting. I'm so jazzed. It's so good.
It's awesome. Leyla, where can people internet?
I'm at LEYLSES at Lailses on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. You can read my webcomic at astralheartcomic.com. Nope, God, I've done that two weeks in a row. astralheartcomic.com without the at. It's good.
You can find me on Twitter at AaronSXL, where I talk about health stuff. You can also follow my other podcast at MBF and me, and that Velocipaster episode we recorded a couple days ago will be going up the same day that this episode goes up, so Monday. So be sure to check that out. It was a very, very bad movie. So we'll talk about that. Leyla, I had two quotes. I think that the second one is probably better, but I did like the first one.
I don't know. I think it's up to you, man.
Well, the first one was in reference to what's his name, Tanaka, being in love with Kyoko, and it was he's like a horny tornado.